holding cells. How do we make sure there is no violation of the holding cells? Yearly maintenance should be included in the budget and is managed by the Ministry of General Affairs. Currently, there is no system in place for yearly maintenance. What is being done budget-wise to tackle that matter? Where will those funds be coming from? Funds have been allocated for the repair of the cells, and the NRPB is responsible for the project management, which is currently in the tendering phase. Additionally, BZK has provided funding for emergency repairs on the Cellen complex. The emergency repairs will commence next week, starting with the initial phase, which involves assessment. Through you, Madam Chair, the questions from MP Bruch. The BOA program started in various departments. Is that a project that has been completely cut out of the budget, or did I overlook it? The vacancy for the training coordinator position is currently open. In relation to the BOA program, a course on outline is required for the course to be certified by the Ministry of ECYS. Once this is attained, then the program can commence. For each ministry, what projects or services would be affected by each of these cuts? Immigration, border, and protection services. The budget cuts have significantly impacted several critical projects within the immigration and border protection sectors, most notably due to the inability to fill essential vacancies in 2024. These include foreign detention center staffing. The plan to hire 6 full-time equivalent FTAs for the Foreign Detention Center was directly affected. Without these additional resources, the center is currently under-resourced, which hampers its ability to manage detainees effectively and safely. This has led to operational delays, reduced capacity to process detainees, and increased strain on existing staff. Vacancies for key leadership roles. Section Head of Admissions and Residency. This role is vital for overseeing the processing of residency permits and managing a smooth admissions process. The lack of the section head has caused a slowdown in application processing times, delayed decision-making, and created gaps in the leadership that are affecting service delivery and policy enforcement. The section head for border control. This role is vital, especially with PJIA reopening, and the changes that are coming will require the adjustment of border control policies and the discussion partnerships with PJIA management to ensure seamless synchronization of immigration processes with business processes. The leadership in this area grants us the ability to ensure effective coordination across border control operations, adjust to challenges of irregular migration, implement enhanced security measures, and provide adequate oversight of entry points. These positions are central to maintaining efficient and secure immigration processes. The delay in filling these roles not only affects the functioning of individual departments, but also has the cascading effect on broader initiatives aimed at improving immigration control and border security. The Corps Police of St. Martin, the cuts have significantly impacted the provision of police services over an extended period. This has resulted in hazardous working environment for the personnel due to the inability to provide essential resources such as vehicles and protective gear. The Customs Department. And due to the cuts, the Customs Department is faced with extreme personnel shortage. A total of 30 additional personnel is needed according to the function book to ensure proper functioning of the department. This includes policy advisors and judicial policy advisors. Due to the current ongoing investigation of staff of the Customs Department, the staff shortage is increased. The cuts also affect the acquisition of essentials like uniforms and needed tactical gear, such as bulletproof vests, riot shoes, and flashlights, etc. With the cuts, training is also affected, which, when absent, hampers their functioning on all levels.
Of my questions weren't answered, or I haven't heard it, but I will reach to that. In regards to the justice workers, thank you for clarifying that matter and also answering those questions. My questions and clarification is more focused on the crime fund. If I understood correctly, through you, Madam Chair, the Minister mentioned that there is no, based on the law, there should be an annual plan, but there is currently no annual plan or it's not finalized. So I would like to know how it's possible that there is no policy plan based on the law. It needs to be there, but yet the crime fund has been used in the past and is currently being used without a policy plan. So if that can be clarified. Also, I would like to know, Madam Chair, how is it possible that there is 3.6 million guilders of BZK in the crime fund? Like, how is that possible? I don't understand, Madam Chair. I understood from the Minister that there's 8.2 million guilders currently in the crime fund, but how is it possible that the BZK funding, which is not meant to prevent crime, unless I'm being corrected that it is, that it is currently in the crime fund? Other than that, I understood that the previous projects, one of those was placement in Brasami. I would like to know how that is possible. I believe it wasn't under the current minister, but yeah, unfortunately, I need to ask the current minister how it's possible that placement on the Brasami, that the crime fund was used for that. And what were the other projects that the crime fund was used for? It went a little bit too fast. I didn't get those pointers. Is it correct that 4 million guilders have been spent of the crime fund through you, Madam Chair? And if so, what was that amount spent on? I asked for those projects. I didn't get it, or I didn't hear it, and I would like to get the exact amount. So let's say placement in Brasami, based on what was that a crime prevention project, and how much was spent on Brasami, and then the other projects. I also mentioned, or I also asked, through you, Madam Chair, to get the detailed plan of the previous years, or if there isn't a plan, if I can receive based on what those projects, or based on what legal basis those projects were executed. And according to me, Madam Chair, it needs to be placed in a national decree. If I'm wrong, please provide me the detailed information based on what those projects were executed, and to receive a list of those projects. Now, to the police vehicles, Madam Chair, I understood that the minister mentioned that it was budgeted for, but unfortunately it's not enough, and that the crime fund will be used for the remaining amount. I would like to know, through you, Madam Chair, how much, because I asked that question, but I didn't get the answer, maybe I missed it. How much will it cost to use part of the crime fund for the remaining cars? So how much cars will be purchased through the budget, and how much will be purchased through the crime fund, and for what amount? And after purchasing those cars, what is the remaining amount that will remain in the crime fund after the purchase?
Are you SXM insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXM is cardless. Request your My SZV account today and enter the virtual office of SZV. Go to szv.sx and sign up now.
SZV, yeah, your social health insurances.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to keep in mind to help keep you and your family safe. The Atlantic hurricane season runs from June 1st to November 30th, with the peak occurring between mid-August and late October. This hurricane season, be sure to put together a go bag. A disaster supply kit including a flashlight, batteries, cash, first aid and supplies, medications, and copies of your critical information if you need to evacuate. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Just a bit of clarification. With regard to the cuts, was it you as minister that decided for the cuts, or was it was it you as minister yourself directly was instrumental in the cuts, or was it the Minister of Finance or someone else or a different organization within the ministry? The reason I ask this later on, I want to address the correct person with regard to this, because I think it's very dangerous for the question that I had about who's affected, what services, and what was listed out pertaining to section heads, immigration, foreign detention center, tactical gears. The personnel is tremendous. I think it's very dangerous when we mess with our national security, and especially with cutting such an important aspect of our budget. So I just would like to know who actually was responsible for it, and just for me to ask exactly what was the thinking behind it as well. With regard to earlier it was stated that one of the things that we are noticing is a rise in crime. My question earlier, in one of the previous meetings, was about the scanner for the containers. Answer given then was that a quotation was asked. I was looking through the budget to see if I saw a quotation or amount for it. I still haven't seen it. Maybe I overlooked it. So perhaps if you can indicate whether or not it's there, or is it something that will be placed in the 2025 budget? This is very important. As stated earlier, crime is on the rise. A lot of our children are finding themselves with weapons, with drugs that they're actually using and what's not. So for me, it's very important that this is added, whether it's in the 24 or the 2025 budget. So I just would like an update on that. And to end on a positive note, I have seen an increase of security with regard to, for example, VKS walking in the nights in town area. So I would like to compliment you, and also the men on the floor, in the districts, in the community, protecting us. I know they're doing the best that they can, and I appreciate it. On our behalf, we appreciate it.
But I didn't fully hear, I didn't hear at all the answer to my question pertaining to the lab, the forensic lab. And in the event that it was missed or skipped, I'll state it again. What are the plans? What plans does the ministry have for the forensic lab of the police station? So when it comes, as it pertains to the lab itself and the instruments used and investments needed for that moving forward. Will that be taken up in this budget or in the 2025 budget or any budget? Thank you.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Here are a few tips to remember to help keep you and your family safe. 6 hours before hurricane strikes, remember, if you're not in an area that is recommended for evacuation, plan to stay at home or where you are and let friends and family know where you're located. Close storm shutters and stay away from windows. Flying glass from broken windows could injure you. Turn your refrigerator or freezer to the coldest setting and only open it when necessary. If you lose power, food will last longer. Keep a thermometer in the refrigerator to be able to check the food temperature when the power is restored. For the latest weather updates and emergency instructions, turn on your TV and/or radio and visit stmartingov.org. This hurricane season, remember, it only takes one. This public service announcement was brought to you by the government of St. Martin.
Your social and health insurance is your social and health insurance.
Are you SXV insured? Do you have a valid medical insurance status? SXV is cardless. Request your My SXV account today and enter the virtual office of SXV. Go to sxv.sx and sign up now.
Your social and health insurances.
Madam Chair, we hear a lot of congratulations for police presence and so forth, but that also comes with a cost. So I too would like to congratulate the Minister, and the reason I ask about your sentiments through you, Madam Chair, to the Honorable Minister, was because I noticed specific cuts, National Detective cuts, different area, National Detective cuts again, police cuts, immigration cuts. So everything within our protection was cut. And then again, as I caution every other minister who speaks of just 2 months, we are approaching Christmas time, where I know back in the day they used to even bring police from Curacao during Christmas time because it has been customary to see a rise in crime. Because of course around this time everyone wants the nice things and wants to treat their family. So I say to be very cautious, not saying that I condone or promote this, but it is a customary thing. We notice that security needs to be beefed up during Christmas time, and to see these cuts is definitely the reason I asked. I would also like to know a specific question. It's burning. There was a young man extremely ill in the prison. I would like to know the status of that. It'd be remiss of me at this point. He's extremely, extremely ill. And I would like to definitely know the status of that. And it leads me to other things that, how do you go about the release of prisoners that are critical or terminally ill? Who is responsible? Is it you? Is it the prosecutor through you, Madam Chair? And I'll go deeper as to why I asked that later down, but definitely it's a question that I need to ask you.
The decrease in the budgeted vacancies was based on 2 areas where budget cuts could be implemented. Personnel cost, 2.1 million guilders, and goods and services, 1.3 million guilders. The Ministry of Education, Culture, Youth and Sport could not reduce the goods and services budget as much, so most of the cuts came from the personnel budget. These cuts were not limited or eliminating full vacancies. They also included adjustments based on the number of months personnel were reflected in the budget. For example, this occurred when personnel transferred out of the ministry or retired during the year. The 6 remaining budgeted vacancies are in the Division of Public Education teaching staff. Through you, Madam Chair, the questions and answers to MP Otley. Decrease in 13.1 million in education. Can I receive an explanation on this? The decrease in the capital investment for the Ministry of ECYS consists of 12.1 million originally allocated for the construction of a high school in the 2024 budget. However, the dossier for the project lacked sufficient substantiation as it did not include concrete costs, estimates, or architectural plans for the high school, and no land had been secured for the construction. As a result, the investment could not be approved in its current state. Additionally, 200,000 guilders for computer hardware and telecom equipment was removed from the 2024 CapEx budget due to priority changes in capital investments approved by the CFT. 500,000 guilders for the equipment and setup of SMVTS was also excluded from the 2024 CapEx budget due to these changes. Lastly, 300,000 guilders for ICT hardware and software was deducted for the same reason. In total, the deductions from the 2024 CapEx budget amount to $13.1 million. I would like the names of all consultants hired by each minister and would like to know the contractual pricing for each consultant hired by each minister. The Minister of ECYS has hired no consultants. And how many cabinet staff are in each cabinet? There are 6 cabinet staff members in the cabinet of ECYS. Through you, Madam Chair, questions posed by MP Lacruz. I did not see anything in the budget for Carnival. I have not seen that reflected anywhere in the budget. The Department of Culture utilizes the budget allocated under the caption Promoting Culture Nationally and Intangible Cultural Heritage for the Carnival-related programs. My colleague, Minister of TIAT, has also addressed this question as they budget funds for Carnival. Through you, Madam Chair, the questions posed by MP Bruch and answers thereto. Cut with reference to Ministry of Education, Breakfast on Wheels program for school children. Does the cut affect what is being made available for the breakfast programs? No cuts were made to the budget account 43421320, voting, which covers the feeding programs within the public schools. Cuts with reference to personnel and expertise, considering that there are so much technical assistance that are going to be needed for pending legislation, are these cuts limited to only 2024, and while they be resorted to 2025 to acquire expertise outside of government where needed? The budget cuts to the Department of Education include a reduction in the department's personnel budget for a senior policy officer who left the department in 2024. This is a critical vacancy, and this cut would adversely affect the department's ability to deliver on pending legislation and agreements made in the country packages in 2025. Different departments complain about the shortages of personnel. Are the cuts also when it comes to personnel as a result of the recent increase of the situation where a lot of civil servants are leaving the government apparatus to the private sector? Is that one of the reasons why you see a drop in certain areas within the budget? For the past 3 consecutive years, the ministry has, for various reasons, been unable to fully utilize its personnel budget. And the forecast indicates that the same will hold through 2024, for 2024. This trend appears to be consistent across the entire government, making it difficult to argue that a reduction in personnel costs is unrealistic or will hinder the achievement of goals, especially when we have been unable to fill all vacancies and fully utilize our personnel budget for the last 3 years. Notably, there are at least 2 individuals working in the ministry who are affecting the budget of other ministries. Additionally, at least 5 individuals are impacting the ministry's budget while working in other ministries or cabinets. The situation affects the department's or division's ability to achieve its goals, as there are fewer staff members present than those being paid from the budget. Clearly, the organization faces challenges in processing personnel matters promptly, which affects its ability to fill vacancies and fully utilizes its personnel budget. Departments and divisions have been advised to hire temporary employees through employment agencies for the remainder of 2024, particularly in the areas where there is an urgent need of manpower. Explain why exactly that the amount was required for the amount to be adjusted. The overall amount proposed cut was based on compliance with the requirements of CFT. So this was basically an instruction. Through you, Madam Chair, the questions posed by MP York. The Martin Luther King School, the tender for the tiles in the classrooms is now out. The roof for the classrooms have been handed over. The only thing to speak is paint, windows, and tiles. What is the timeline moving forward, and what do we plan to use the school for between now and next school year?